Welcome everyone. We'll just give a few seconds for everyone to join us and we'll be starting in just a moment. Thank you. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out today. My name is Jahan Jaffapur and I'm with the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, and we'd like to welcome you to our Conversations with a Conscience. The Conversations for a Conscience is a monthly event for SWAC members to engage in dialogue about world issues with community leaders, finding ways to get involved. As opposed to our usual programming, this series is more to have an informal setting and an intimate approach to ask questions and participate with your peers and the hosts. As mentioned, this meeting is interactive, so we highly encourage everyone to turn their videos on and feel free to submit questions in the chat portion of the program. And a couple of announcements before we begin. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 14th, we have a program with Ambassador Richard Olson on Afghanistan, as well as our World Quest, our annual trivia night, which takes place October 29th, featuring Magic Around the World by magician Ben Jackson. This year, the event is free to everyone, so feel free to sign up today at wachhouston.org. Today's Conversations with a Conscience revolves around world languages and culture. As you know, language is an important form of communication, but there are many other forms of, there's many other aspects to language that intersect with our daily lives and culture throughout the world. Today, to speak with us is Flor Dimassi of Global Speak Translations. Flor Dimassi is the CEO of Global Speak Translations. Her experience as an international language leader is founded an intensive background spanning communications, conference presentations, translation, and interpretation team collaboration. Global Speak's client base spans various markets and industries from energy to legal, facilitating conferences, market research, safety, community outreach, and a wider variety of language-intensive operations. Ms. Dimassi started her first entrepreneurial venture in 1992 as one of the original founders of the Dimassi Mediterranean restaurants. Originally from Torreon, Mexico, she is fluent in Spanish, French, and English, and studied at the University of St. Thomas before earning her degree in international studies. She also holds a degree in French literature from l'Alliance Française in Paris, France. She also serves as an advisory board member for the Center of International Studies at the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas, as well as an advisory board member for the International Society for Mexico Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and please help us welcome Ms. Flor Dimassi. Flor.
Thank you, Jahan. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you also to Ms. Chapman for the invitation to participate in today's event. Great title, as you said, Conversations with a Conscience, World Languages and Culture. It is always a pleasure to speak to young scholars as you look into the future of what is next. I will also like for this session to be interactive. If everyone could just participate via video, or if you have a question or a comment throughout my presentation, please feel free to ask or to come into the platform. As we're speaking about world languages and culture, languages have always been my passion. And it is the reason why I decided to pursue a degree in this area. And it is the reason why today I am the CEO of Global Speak Translations. And languages, as I said, is my passion. I can do this job for 24/7, and my clients don't even have to pay me, but don't tell them, right? Because I do have financial responsibilities. I love it. I love it so much. I feel that this is something that I can grow, I can do, and I feel that I am very lucky to do what I love the most in this as a job. I know that the majority of you are now in your last year of college or thinking about going to college. And I just wanted to share my story when I went to college in hopes that I can inspire another person that is going through the same situation or difficulties that I was going through. I remember preparing for college, and I knew that I was going to need many things. I knew that one of the things I was going to need for sure was a car. And in preparation for that, I called my father and I told him that I needed a car. And he said that he will teach me one of the greatest gifts of being an entrepreneur. And that he said that everything in life is earned through hard work. If I were to pay for your education and give you everything, then I will be robbing you of the fundamental foundation of what drives a business leader. And I want to preface my conversation in this situation I had with my father because I learned a lot. To me, from the beginning, it was clear that I needed to go that the next level of education would be college. I knew that I was going to pursue my education at the University of St. Thomas, and my vision was clear. I was committed to attending, and I knew that it would be my ticket to do anything I wanted to do in this world. Being a college graduate helped me jump as high and reach any dream possible. I wanna stress that. This is the magic of going to college, being a college graduate. You not only acquire the academic knowledge and the experience and the hard work of being dedicated, you learn the abilities and the skills that later on in life will be with you. If there's anyone in the audience, if you are like me, I'm an average person. I'm an average student. I knew that I needed to surround myself with 4.0s so that I can learn the study styles, I can learn how to prepare for tests, their note taking, what books to read. In summary, college affords you so many positive things, the connections, the friendships, a whole world of opportunities right at your fingertips. It is only in a lifetime experience, it is only a lifetime experience that I know that I sometimes I don't understand why people don't pursue this. The things that experience, the circumstances that you learn in college, they stay with you as you grow older. As it relates to the University of St. Thomas, I was able to go to study abroad, and that's where I found out that languages were my passion. I discovered the beauty of cultures and the beauty of languages. So I was able to study abroad in Paris, and while I was in Paris, I was able to travel to other countries as Belgium, the Netherlands, Spain. And there is, as I said, where I discovered my passion for languages. Language is a doorway. It's a guide. Language is so important that sometimes we don't realize what language means. Language are functions of the world's economy that has to exist in order for the world to grow, in order for the world to work. Entire civilizations couldn't have occurred if language was not part of the process. When my customers come to us, when they come to us and they say, Flor, I want to reach other cultures, I want to reach other markets, what can I do? The first thing that I say to them is, have your website in other languages. You are telling other people, we speak your language, we want your business. So especially in the world that we live in today, it's so interconnected. We receive world news in a matter of minutes in multiple platforms and languages. I was reading an article about languages and the interconnectedness of the world today by Simon Dudley, where it states that it has more important than ever, where it states that it has made it more important than ever that we need to appreciate the benefits of common means of communications in commerce, science, technology, politics, and the business. It is this the reason why English comes to be an important language. Despite of all the technological advances and attributes of China and Russia, English is still de facto language of science and business. As far as 2008, Research Trends magazine noticed that English is the first language of about 400 million people in 53 countries. It is very well positioned to become the default language of science. In another article that I recently read, as business, a 2012 Reuters news agency survey conducted at Global Public Affairs show that more than 2/3 of employees of 26 nationalities who deal with people in other countries use English most often. Several companies reveal this aspect of how English has emerged as a default language for business around the world. Distance is no longer an issue. We can take full advantage of the internet. Can you imagine what your experience on the internet will be if you didn't speak English? That said, we need to be more adaptable to and sensitive to other cultures as we use the language. For example, I wanted to bring this to a personal experience. In different scenarios and business conferences, sometimes when we are interpreting in Spanish and in Portuguese or any other languages, the English word stays within the translation. For example, coffee break. I noticed that in the Portuguese booth, they were using coffee break. We're about to take a coffee break. And I know that coffee break in Portuguese is intervalo do cafezinho. And the same thing happened in the Spanish booth. They said, vamos a tomar un coffee break, instead of we are about to take un descanso para tomar café. So later on, I asked them and I said, why are you keeping the English word, right? Because it is more acceptable and that is what the customer wanted. As you can see, and there are many examples that we can address. For example, you know, in French, we say le weekend being the English word. So we see the adoption of English words in our day-to-day conversation in other languages. We need to keep in mind also that we need to be sensitive to the many changes that are happening rapidly around us. For example, according to the MIT Indigenous Language Initiative, approximately 6,000 languages are spoken around the world. And of those, there are say that 600 are confidently expected to survive this century. That is scary. That is scary. We need to be more adaptable and sensitive, as I said, to other cultures as we use language. Some languages, for example, are seem institutionally disposed towards inflexibility. For example, in France, they are allowing only a few new words each year to enter their lexicon. In comparison to the Oxford English Dictionary, that cites examples, provides its updates, allows slang, new interpretations of established words, and even new concepts seem to be embraced rather than limited. But not to say that French is not important. We know that French is the official language of many international organizations, including the United Nations, the European Union, NATO, etc. In 2011, Bloomberg Business proclaimed French to be one of the top 3 most useful languages for business, apart from English and Chinese. Any of you here in the audience, do you speak any other language? We said that we were going to do this interactive.
We'd encourage everyone to submit it either by, if not by video, by audio, or through the chat. Looks like we have one here. We have Vietnamese. I can speak myself. I have Farsi and a dialect of the Philippines.
Very well.
There's Spanish and Portuguese. And we have another one that says Hebrew.
Here in Houston alone, in the city of Houston, we speak 153 languages. Just in Houston, one of the most diverse language cities. So, and when we talk about speaking other languages, we know that that sometimes we happen to speak that language because we come from that background, right? And the majority of the time, we don't speak it fluently. We just understand. We understand either the Portuguese or the Spanish or Vietnamese. But I do encourage you to take advantage of that, to take advantage of that opportunity, to practice, to be able, that is money on the table. You are worth twice when you speak other languages. Language, as we know, when you're learning a language, you're not only learning the syntax. You're not only learning to learn other language. You're learning about the culture. You're learning about the people. You're learning about the food. You're learning about the religion. You're learning about so many other things that come within learning a language. Language opens our minds to beauty, to other cultures. We will learn to be more tolerant, we'll learn to be more accepting. We'll learn to be, sometimes it is difficult for us because we don't know the other culture. But in reality, when we get to learn about other cultures and other people, that's when we, it's obvious to us that we get to see discover other things. Language is an art and has the ability to unleash a variety of emotions within us, where some find beauty and peace, or even the encouragement to reflect. Some find challenges or chaos. The importance of all of these emotions, it is that represents life that is worth embracing through the dynamics of others. What connects the dots to the world of global experiences, the true beauty of language and its nuances. If anybody has any comments or any questions at this time, I really wanted to for this opportunity that we had for this to be interactive. Well, if I can share with you, is to speak in what languages has done for me. In my years of experience, I've learned one thing, that we live in a world of constant change. And in order for us to adapt to that change, we need to recognize the change. We need to be able to adapt to it. So I know that languages have afforded me to do what I wanted to do in life. I know that with this company, Global Speak Translations, it is a company that we provide the opportunity for customers to connect, to reach other clients more than anything. That's what I like. And I know that that languages are sometimes difficult to understand, difficult to comprehend, scary for people. But it's once you get to learn that, it becomes familiar, and you are able to connect with others.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
In English, we have new words added to our dictionary annually. Is this the same in other languages? Are they continuously adding on other terms?
I'm glad you asked that question, because that is what I was mentioning at the beginning, that in English we are allowing even slang and other terms to be used. They're part of our vocabulary. Other languages, for example, in Spanish, we are now trying at the same time to expand the vocabulary with what is known. For example, everybody knows Facebook or YouTube, those words that we use on a daily basis. But more than anything, it is the affluence and the circumstances surrounding that reality that those words are created. For example, I've seen words change, words transformation in Spanish that was not allowed in years past. And now it is, because that is the norm. That is how we speak, and that is how we communicate. So yes, I know that even though in other languages, like we mentioned, in, for example, the French, they're very traditional and they don't allow much flexibility on their new terms to be added in their language. We can see that in other languages, yes, the vocabulary is growing.
All right, looks like I have a question here submitted from Ray. I think learning a language works best by being immersed in it, by visiting another country and spending time there. Because COVID makes travel almost near impossible right now, how can someone start learning a new language more effectively? Do you have any suggestions for that at this time?
Yes, Ray, thank you for the question. Yes, I know. My advice has always been, if you want to learn the language, move to that country, right? And also it's how bad do you want to learn that language, right? You have to immerse yourself wherever you are in that language. Either if you're here in the United States, you need to start putting tags with the names of items around you, so that when you wake up in the morning, you can see, okay, lamp, it says lámpara, luz, it says this. I mean, it's just, if you get in your car, you're listening to some music, you're listening to a book being read on that language that you're learning. You have conversations sometimes, and you say, well, I am driving my car, I am trying. So what I'm trying to say is, you have to emerge and you have to really make time to learn that language. And now with the opportunities that we have with Zoom, you can connect with other people. You can take classes. You can really practice. I remember when I was learning English, I will have a cousin. I was living with my cousin back then, and she will always correct my pronunciation. She will always tell me, "You don't say this, you say that." And instead of me, having a complex because I didn't, pronounce the words correctly, I took it as an advantage, and I will repeat the pronunciation until I got the correct. Well, I still have a little accent, but until I was able to pronounce it correctly. So I think that either through Zoom now, until we get to travel again, you can read the newspaper, listen to other music. You can even watch a movie with subtitles in that other language, or vice versa, and see how it is written, and expand your vocabulary.
Thank you, Flor. Yeah, great. Sounds pretty much take advantage of what you can. If you can't physically immerse yourself in that country or that language or that culture, kind of bring it into your life. I like that. It looks like we have a next question here. This question is directly for you, a more personal question. We have a question here that asks, growing up as a teenager, what initiated your passion for languages?
Well, one of the things that I liked was that you're able to, I don't even know where to start, because I get so passionate with that question, because it is everything. It is the culture, is the food, is the songs, is you know, it's just the connection that you make with people. I was at the Renaissance Festival a couple of days ago, and there was a lady there that was asking, you know, where the entrance was, etc. And I noticed an accent, and she said that she was, I said, is that Arabic? Because Arabic and Farsi tend to, you know, when you hear them from afar, you get confused. And she told me that it was Farsi. So I said a couple of lines to her in Farsi, Sheshmita Shanga, and things like that. And she immediately, we connected. So it is the connection. It is the the ability to find your gift. How many of you in this audience, for example, know what your gift is? How it always amazed me. This goes to your question on how when I was a teenager, I found out that my passion for languages. How did Eddie Van Halen knew that he was good at being a guitarist? How did people know that you're good at singing, that you're a tennis player, that you are, how do you discover your gift? Have you discovered your gift? Do you know what your gift is? And if not, then you're gonna probably, like some people say, well, Flor, I am so good at so many things. I don't know which way to go, right? I like so many things. So this is time to spend time with yourself and to really find your passion.
Thank you. Looks like another question here in regards to the, I guess, the English language being one, as you said in the beginning, being one of the top, the top language to communicate in. In the future or near future, what language or languages do you see taking over or being as powerful as the English language is now? I guess whether in business or culture, what do you have? What are your thoughts on the future of language and how that's seen in the world? How it'll be used and which languages?
Well, because we are here in Houston, I know that I've seen the growth of the Latin American community throughout the United States and throughout the world. Because Spanish, I will say Spanish is one of the languages that I see growing rapidly, and without a doubt, Chinese, simplified Chinese. I see it in my company. We've grown our Chinese department almost doubled, and now through COVID, and because it's a language that is coming through very with a lot of force. And I know it's a very difficult language to learn, but you know, I studied some, and I didn't last long because it was a very difficult language for me. But if you have the ability and if you have the passion and the time and the gift, yes. And you know, when we talk about languages and we say that there's a gift and then there is the ability, right? Remember that sometimes the will is always greater than the ability. If you want it, you are going to accomplish it. In language translations, we have two very different departments, which is the written translation and the spoken translation. In the spoken, we have the simultaneous interpretation, and that is when it's speaking at the same time that the speaker is speaking. And that both of them is an art. Both of them are. The spoken is you're speaking and you're delivering the message at the same time that the presenter is speaking. Sometimes we don't know what the person is going to say and we have to convey the message. Sometimes, for example, in the business setting, the engineer decides to break the ice and he's telling a joke, right? And he says something funny. And the majority of the time, but guess what? That joke doesn't have any translation. It doesn't translate. So sometimes when we're in the booth, we tell the audience, the presenter is telling a joke, but we are all going to laugh at the count of 3. So that everybody, English speakers or not, everybody laughs, and just to make a joke out of the joke, right? For everybody. So so that's an art. The interpretation is an art, and also being able to write. It's to deliver the message, to change that message, to localize it so that you can say that same meaning in other words and that it could be understood. The word localize, that means we are going to make this message, we are going to localize it, we are going to bring it with terminology of this region, of this area, so that it could be understood, right? A lot of people think that Google Translate can do the job, right? We see that, for example, when it's a great tool, but you have to be very careful when you use it.
Thank you. And looks like we have a last couple of questions here now from Mary. A 2-part question. What is the most rewarding project you have worked on? And second, what is the hardest language the hardest language to translate in your opinion?
Okay. All right. So the most rewarding, and I appreciate that question too, because as a minority-owned business, I always believe in giving back to the community. Global Speak gives back to the community, and another of my passion is families, children. So I try to always find either schools or organizations that need our types of translations. For example, Global Speak, we are cyclists also in my company. And we have the Global Speak racing team, and we organize rides and bicycles. And these past months, we organized a ride and we donated our miles in money to the Houston Food Bank. So when we arrived, we were excited and we had our jerseys and we were in our bicycles riding to the Houston Food Bank. And when we arrived, they had a check for us, one of those big checks. But what really touched me was that it didn't show the amount of money that we had donated. It showed the amount of meals that money bought for families.
Wow.
So that was really something that I will always remember, that sometimes you think that, you're not making a change. That's not enough money. But in reality, you are helping people. So that is one of the most rewarding things that we do. We also do interpretations and translations for Life Gift, the organ donor organization here in Houston, and for Texas Children at Risk for HISD and things like that, to help them graduate from high school, so programs and things like that. So I always believe in giving back to the community. Whatever you're doing, if you have your own company or not, it's always very rewarding to be able to give back. When we had the Hurricane Harvey, many companies were also reaching out to us because they needed to communicate. So it's always rewarding to know that we can do that, and we can help. And the most difficult language to translate, wow, it's just, I think it's kind of difficult because translation, it's an art, and they're all difficult to translate if you don't know how to convey the message. I think that Arabic is difficult. I think Farsi, Hebrew, and I only think they're difficult because I don't understand them fully. I took 2 years at Rice University for Arabic, and I somehow can, say a few words in very short conversations. But yes, it's. I think that all languages, they have their nuances, and they have their challenges to be translated.
Thank you. And one final question to close us out. Considering we are now in the digital age, what is your best? What do you believe is the best most accurate translation app in your opinion, and your thoughts on translation apps?
Well, wow. That is something that, and see, we're talking about change, and that is inevitable, right? That the apps are now allows us to, order food, have a car at our door, do bank transactions, and now I've seen that that people are using them when they travel to ask questions and to be guided and ask for directions and things like that. I don't have an app per se that I can mention or that I can recommend. As I mentioned, there are other Lingui and Google and things like that in the internet to do written translation. But always be a little careful with those. I know that technology is just now so advanced, and it changes every day of our lives. And next week we could have a fantastic app for interpretation, and that could help us. But I'm just gonna give you a word of a caution and advice here, because when, for example, when the Pope was traveling to China, they decided to do the billboards and to run them through a tool rather than to have them by. You probably know this story, Jahan, right? That so they decided to run it through a tool rather than to have a human welcoming the Pope. So all the signs said welcome potato, is because Pope is Papa potato. So and they had him up. So it was not a good thing. So it's always for safety reasons, for if you want to convey the human touch, still very much needed in all translations and interpretations.
Thank you, Flor. We do appreciate the old school way as well, and we appreciate what you and Global Speak Translations does with providing all these translations and these services to the greater Houston community. And I want to thank everyone once again for joining us today. We had a wonderful program with Flor Dimassi from Global Speak Translations. We'll have her information out. You'll see it later on. This video will be up hopefully in the next couple of days, day or so. It will be up and available for everyone to see. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know, or feel free to let Ms. Dimassi know if you have any questions on languages.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Well, thank you once again, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you for joining us for Conversations with a Conscience. All right, take care.